Hello everyone, it's Dawn. Welcome back. Lovely to see you all again. And we're going to carry on with our series, our daily series, right from now, right through and including Sunday, with turning your crafting passion into a business if you haven't already started. If you haven't already started, that's fine. But if you have started, that's fine too. So, this session is for people who perhaps were already in conversations with potential customers and clients. Now, the worst thing you can do is try and force your potential customers to force them into a decision. That it's the kiss of death. You must don't do that. So ask better questions. For example, rather than saying, "Oh, you should really come and work with me," a better way of putting it, or a more effective way of putting it, I should say, is, "Would you like me to give you a few ideas based on what you've just told me, or can I walk you through the process and the benefits?" Then they've got the opportunity to say yes or no. If you say, "Can I?" or "Would you mind?" or "Would you like me to?" ask with open questions. Don't close the conversation with demand. So position your offer as a decision. Never position it as a demand. It really is the kiss of death. So tell them your story. Make it relatable. Start from the bottom. Share what your lowest point was and be honest with them. Share your fears about failure and how you resisted the urge to give up. Give a relatable story that others can follow as an example, because that builds trust. And don't forget to share your turning point. For example, I'll share my turning point. In fact, my turning point, funnily enough, was also my lowest point. It was when my lovely husband Graham died. He, as many of you know, he passed away last year. And that was my turning point because I thought, well, I'm on my own now. I've got nothing to lose. Why not go for it? I've got no one else that is relying on me. I've got no other responsibilities now, so why not? That was my turning point, and it was my lowest point, but it's also raised me to a much higher point, a happier point, so that's always good. So share your pain without being too personal, of course, but share your lowest point and how, maybe even how you got out of your lowest point if you're at that position. Position yourself as the adventurer. That's the other piece of advice I wanted to give. Position yourself as the adventurer, not necessarily the expert. It's good to let them know that you know what you're doing or what you're talking about, but say what you're currently trying out, what you're working on, not what you've already achieved, because that can come over as sometimes being a little bit arrogant. So say what you're working on and what the process is, what's worked in the process for you, what hasn't, so that builds a connection with those that you're working with and those who are still trying to build their own business. For example, what I'm trying to do, it seems to be a lifelong struggle, well, not a struggle, lifelong challenge. My adventure at the moment is I'm trying to learn and understand a bit more about technology. I'm doing quite well, thanks to some very supportive and very, very patient friends. And of course, here on YouTube and other places, that's a good place to learn. So I am my adventure at the moment, my trying out. I'm trying out different ways of learning more about technology to run my business better and to help other people to run theirs better. So, and I'm getting there. I haven't got everything right yet, but I'm getting there, and I hope you will too. And you're working on at the moment. And so carry on doing that. Be the adventurer. Be the adventurer along with me and others, and share what you're working on, what's worked, what hasn't, what you still plan to do. And the next thing you need to do is identify your audience's enemy and call that enemy out. What I mean by enemy, when I say enemy, I don't necessarily mean competitors, people who are doing the same thing. Because even if you've got other crafting businesses, and let's be honest, there are quite a few crafting businesses around, they won't all be doing the same as what you're doing. Some will be product based, some will be service based, some will be a bit of both. And even if that's you, they still won't be doing what you're doing. So they're not necessarily competition. But identify those enemies and call them out. Show them how they can stand out against those enemies, which is which in most cases, let's be honest, it's fear, maybe fear of failure or doubt, self-doubt, what some people refer to as mind monkeys. Now, mind monkeys, that always makes me laugh. Because mind monkeys are self-doubt thoughts that are saying, "Oh, you'll never be able to do this. You can't do that. You mustn't do that. What if it doesn't work?" Now that's your enemy, and you need to call that enemy out. And if if fear and doubt, sorry, I lost my place there. If fear and doubt is your enemy, tomorrow we'll be tackling that enemy and we're going to be showing a way of showing it the back door for once and for all. And I'm going to be showing you some ideas of how you can defeat that enemy and overcome those fears and that doubt. And I've got a fun little exercise prepared for you. Well, it's not prepared, but it will be by tomorrow. It's an idea. At the moment, it's still up here. I haven't got it down on paper yet, but it's almost there. So that's the other thing I'm working on. I'm adventuring and trying to get things done on time. Organisation, I have to admit, is not my strongest suit. So the other thing I'm working on at the moment is trying to be more organised. In my head, I know what I need to do and I know when I need to do it. But it's getting organised enough to actually get the systems in place so that they're there at the time I need them to be there. So that's what I'm working on, one of the things. But tomorrow, as I say, we're going to be working on doubt and how to, if doubt is your enemy, if fear is your enemy, I've got a fun little exercise we can do that's going to kick that enemy out the back door and close it behind him so he can never come back. So I will see you tomorrow with tackling fear and doubt. And I hope you can join me for that. And in the meantime, I thank you so much, especially if you've been on this journey with me from day one. I do appreciate it. But wherever you've joined me, it's fantastic to have you with me. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here talking to myself. And I will see you tomorrow for tackling fear and doubt. So until then, take care, everybody. Have fun. And as always, happy crafting. Bye-bye for now.